So, Jeff, the entire wrestling world is talking about a milestone that is about to be passed. And we wrestling fans have had this one circled for a while, as I understand it. And maybe I have the exact numbers off here. But I think Nitro made it through 286 episodes before it came to an end. And that same number of episodes is going to land on March 26th, which is this Wednesday. And when I saw that last year, I sort of freestyled, man, how fun would it be if they did a spring break Dynamite and they did it from the beach with a floating ring? And of course, whenever I said that on Twitter, people were like, well, Club La Vila's closed. Well, the last Nitro wasn't at Club La Vila, and floating rings didn't start at Club La Vila. It existed before. But I still like that idea. And then, of course, when I suggested it, I was told, well, that was less than ideal. And I get it. But I kind of just thought it was only fans who were keeping up with the number of episodes of Nitro compared to the number of episodes of Dynamite. But then on Sunday night, we saw Tony Khan actually make a tweet about that.
Ooh.
Well, as we're recording, a report has come out this morning, and I guess this is from NoDQ.com, that says AEW is producing a special edition of Dynamite to celebrate the show surpassing WCW Nitro in total episodes. And I heard a podcast or a clip of Dave Meltzer talking about this, and he said, I don't get why they're discussing this. It feels like the only person this matters to maybe is Eric Bischoff, but I'm interested in the idea that it has surpassed it. It's a fun celebratory thing, but I thought it would be like a spring break thing. But a big portion of the internet feels like Tony Khan might be kind of trolling Eric Bischoff here. What do you make of that?
I don't know about the trolling part of it. I hadn't seen the tweet, so Dave, if you've got that, throw it up there. But Conrad, the chair that I'm sitting in was the chair that, and I don't know how many people you freestyled it with, but I don't know if you remember my reaction. And I think we both went down, I don't call it rabbit holes, but man, oh man, different ideas and concepts and celebrations. And I think you could throw in nostalgia and throwback. Our man, Mr. Shabani, was on whatever it is, 268, 286, whatever number it is. I mean, look, this business is built on, well, I'll say this, successful wrestling businesses are built on promotion. How can we promote something and that's already good, and how can you make it great? I always like to use that throwback. It's kind of one of my personal mantras: go from good to great. But Conrad, when we freestyled, I think we came up with, I don't know, we could have talked several hours that day, but I love it. I think, you know, the old adage, records are made to be broken. In my kind of timeline, Conrad, socially, there's been quite the, hey man, there's a lot of episodes of Impact. And then I kind of start thinking about, yep, that's great. But, you know, kind of how everything exploded from a national perspective, that, you know, in a lot of ways, superstars and challenge of the WWF. And Conrad, help me out. What were the syndicated shows? Because 605 on Saturday night, but there was Worldwide and a couple
Power Hour, Main Event.
Yeah. But Nitro, you know, was launched after Raw. And when you think of the evolutions of Raw, just how many episode after episode after episode. And, you know, my old man ran from his own show, and look, he took it over from Nick, but whatever that was, 77, and how many episodes of Memphis Wrestling were produced. So nothing is truly original. But man, I think whether it's troll or not a troll, let's promote, let's make it as big as possible. Let's fill the show up of memories and moments that whether it's a callback or a throwback or something to create engagement. I don't want to just say controversy. So if it's perceived as a troll, great. That's controversy. If it's not, if it's perceived as a celebration, maybe even better. I love it. But man, I would have loved to be getting in a plane tomorrow and head to the beach for multiple reasons. But I think that'd been really cool to do something as kind of a ode, connecting the dots, if you will, like we had discussed.
An homage to Spring Break Nitro would have been fun. I need some cannonballs. Maybe we'll try again next year. Shout out to Efren, who was with us here live and said, I nailed the Spanish. Don't tell anybody.
Excellent. Shout out, pal.
Yeah. Instagram a wrestling historian wants to know whose idea was your world map entrance in TNA? Thanks.
Oh, let me ask you, Conrad, before I answer. You know what he's talking about? That
Yep.
video wall. Okay, you do. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you were. I think back then I was not your favorite.
The human fast forward button. Yes.
Oh, Conrad, I saw somebody connecting yesterday as I knew came back from Mexico in the Atlanta airport. And you know, as you go down the escalator, you're waiting on the trams of this, and the guy had gotten off a train, and I'm getting on one, but we're waiting there, and he gets off, and he walks back to me. He turns around, he said, Jeff. I said, hey, how you doing? He came up, shook your hand. He said, I just want to shake your hand. Conrad's right. You were an absolute prick. I hated your ass, but man, oh man. Conrad turned me on that. I said, I'll be sure and let him know tomorrow. Anyway, shout out to the Atlanta listener. That video wall, though, at the time, you know, I was the NWA champion and I defended it in the UK tours. I defended it in Australia. I think Andrew McManus, I think that was the New Zealand pay-per-view. So we kind of wanted to represent that, but I got to tip my cap. That was a JB, Jeremy Borash, Jeff Jarrett collaboration. Maybe he was the original one that maybe said we'll do a map, but it was based off of that was something that we wanted to bring to light in the early days of TNA, that the NWA champion, again, had a lineage from 1905 that traveled from, you know, it wasn't just a one company champion that I had defended the title. And I did that and for several different promotions during the startup days of TNA. Shout out Instagram, a wrestling historian.
Yeah, shout out to him for sharing us the news right now, because you and I are live on YouTube. We're not scrolling our phone, but my man is double tasking. He's multitasking.
All right.
And he says the natural disasters are official. They've been announced as being the newest members into the WWE Hall of Fame. Listen, Tugboat was a big part of my childhood. I was a little Hulkamaniac, and when Earthquake squished him, I just couldn't believe it. Who would have thought years later they would have been a tag team? But when you think about iconic opponents for Hulk Hogan and sort of the golden era, Earthquake checks that box, and Tugboat was sort of one of Hogan's best friends. They were doing the Hogan friendship bracelets at the time. I think this is long overdue. I'm so happy for John Tenta and Fred Ottman. Congrats on going into the WWE Hall of Fame.
You know, my first memories of Big Fred, Conrad, you know, right down here at the road from me, Madison, Tennessee. There was a Gold's Gym that opened, and Big Bubba, as Fred was known in those days, and Goliath, Pittsburgh boy, we teamed them up, and they had an apartment in that area. But there are legendary stories about Big Fred going in Gold's, how strong he was. And those stories at times, there's a couple of Steiner stories in gyms I work at, you know, guys that I've known through the years, but Fred's stories are legendary, how strong he was back in the day. But and then my man John, I made, I don't say half a dozen, maybe more than that, but road trips in the WWF at the time. And I jumped in cars with him, and I really got to know his history because, man, I was, you know me, Conrad, I was, hey, man, tell me a little bit about this. And I learned about his Japan days, and you know, John was a gentle giant, but you could really tell folks that got, you know, that's one man you don't want to piss off because his athletic ability, kind of what his training was. He was a very, very fascinating guy, intellectual, but a sweetheart of a guy. But yeah, it's pretty cool. If you would have asked me before this, we'll call it Hall of Fame season, if those guys were in the Hall of Fame, I would have said, oh yeah. I didn't even really recognize they weren't. So I do think it's long overdue. They both had different impacts. So I'm happy for both of their families.
Shout out to them, man. I just think the world of them, and I had the pleasure of working with Fred at a StarCast. We had a special little backdrop made, so it looked like he was bursting through the wall, Shockmaster style. It was a one-of-a-kind photo op that we did. I'm glad we got to do it, and I'm glad he's where he belongs now, in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Hey, let me just stop you on that. When you, and I have to online, if the Shockmaster clip is played, and look, it's unfortunate, but everybody can laugh and chuckle about that. Is it not the funniest soundbite when Sid says, "I knew it, I knew it"?
When Davey says he fell on his ass or whatever, man, it gets me.